Ryan, man, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, really exciting show for you guys today. We've got producer Rosca over there working cameras. We've got Mark McCribbin working the sound. And Ryan Tierney he's come so highly recommended, honestly, mate. Like, I'm really inspired by what you're doing. And I think your business is cool, and I think what you're moving into now of this kind of thought leadership piece all around this weird and wonderful, like cult-like obsessive culture of like this thing called lean.
Lean, yeah.
And you recommended this book here to me, 2 Second Lean. I read it on the plane, and the amount of change that's happened in my business, even since reading this book, is crazy. So I'm really excited for you to unpack some of that for us.
Yeah.
Ryan runs an amazing company called Seating Matters. They make hospital seats, and they are doing a really amazing job. And his whole life has been transformed by this thing called lean, which we're going to find out about today. So, Ryan, tell us, what is your gateway drug into this thing called lean, and what the heck is it?
Yeah. So 8 years ago, almost 8 years, my life changed. It really did. Our business wasn't running the way we wanted it to run. Really stressful. There was orders going out late. There was defects. There was products sent to the wrong customer. All these production issues, operational issues that most companies have, to be honest. And it was really stressful. And I thought there has to be a better way. So our business is called Seating Matters. We manufacture specialist seating for nursing and care environments. It's myself and my two brothers that own and run the company.
Oh, great.
So I'm predominantly on the operations side of the business. So I just love manufacturing. I love making things. I love getting into the detail of how things work. But it was a really stressful environment. And every day I get up and worked through this stress and came home and went to bed and got up the next day and done the same thing. And this just repeat. And I just thought there has to be a better way. And I went home one night and I was sitting at my kitchen table and I got my iPad and I started typing in how to manage production, how to run a factory, how to just really generic terms into YouTube. And this guy called Paul Akers came up on YouTube. And I was like, what? This is unbelievable. Yes, this guy, this is unbelievable. And my wife still tells the story that I didn't go to bed that night. I sat up all night.
Wow.
She came down at like 3:30 in the morning and says, are you not coming up to bed? And I said, no.
Get you off that iPad.
I said, I've found something on YouTube that's going to transform our business and we're going to do this. And she was kind of, she thought I was crazy.
All right.
Yeah.
Don't drink too much coffee tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. But it sparked something in me that night that has never went out, and it sparked a passion for lean. 2 second lean is the concept that Paul Akers has come up with, and this lean thinking has just changed my life.
This is great. I am already like, this is going to be a great episode. So I had heard of lean before, and I had heard of books like The Lean Startup, and I had like kind of in all these like MBA circles, it's all like lean, and there's big textbooks, and I was just like, what the heck is going on here? It was diagrams and like these mad spreadsheets, and I was like, this isn't for me, this is for engineers, or this is for whatever. And I was reading this book, 2 Second Lean, where I was like, hold on a second, this is more of a philosophy rather than anything else. So if you were to explain what lean is, what would you say?
For me to sum lean up in one sentence, lean is a way to get more out of life. It's a system to get more out of life. And the book 2 Second Lean really made that clear for me. Basically what 2 Second Lean is that it's this concept that Paul Akers came up with. He went to the Japanese. He went to visit Toyota 20 years ago, seen what the Japanese were doing in the Toyota and Lexus plants, and said, this is unbelievable. We're going to take this thinking back to a small company in America and implement not the corporate theoretical lean, but we're going to call it 2 Second Lean. Basically, where every single person in the organisation makes a 2 second improvement every day before they work, and then they work. And a 2 second improvement is as simple as making a place for your tool at your workstation, making a place for the stationery in the stationery store, making sure all the cables for the camera equipment are in a box and they've got a label. So when you need that, you reach for it and it's right there.
Yep.
2 second improvements all over the place by every single person. So Paul Akers came up with this concept that we improve and then we work. In most companies, you walk into the office, you start working. 2-second lean philosophy is in a way that you improve, then you work.
And that's the thing, because you had done many years in your business where it was just wake up, stress, sleep. Wake up, stress, sleep. There's no optimization. The orders are still going out wrong. The defects are still going on. And you're just like, I just have to keep going. There's the stress, the machine, the rat race, the treadmill, whatever you want to call it.
Exactly.
I'll give you a really simple example after reading this book. Again, I can't thank you enough for introducing me to this concept. So I'm moving into more of a leadership role now, where I'm bringing people on, I'm training people how to do things.
Yeah.
I did over 500 episodes by myself.
Yeah.
I knew how I did things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's now how do you take what's in your brain and put it in somebody else's brain? So the whole world of checklists and standard operating procedures and all this sort of stuff. But it's that continuous improvement idea, and making the barrier to entry so low. Can you improve something by 2 seconds? Right? Look around this room, okay? There's a few things we've done this week from applying what you've introduced us to. See these fairy lights?
Yeah.
So these fairy lights, when we first put them in, they were all battery powered. And so from an operational perspective, the batteries had to be charged, which means they had to be changed, which means the lights would dim every now and then. Some episodes would happen where the lights behind you weren't working properly, and these ones were and these ones weren't.
Yeah.
Someone would have to go and manually turn them on. So with 3 sets of them. Mark here the other day, at the end of every podcast now, we ask, what did you like and what would you improve?
Yeah.
And in the morning, whenever Oscar comes in, we do something similar.
Yeah.
And Mark was like, mate, just get wired fairy lights. And now when we come in and switch the button on, all the fairy lights are on.
Yeah.
And that's that problem completely solved. I'm like, Ryan, thank you.
And that's all lean is.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And that's all we're doing. But we happen to be doing it with 60 people every single day. And it's the accumulation of all these small incremental improvements over a long period of time that has transformed our business.
Let's talk about WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Is it true that if I work for you, if I'm part of your team, that I have to post my improvement in the WhatsApp?
Yeah. So
come on.
So on the way up, I was just going through the WhatsApp group there on the way up to Belfast here this morning, and it's only 10 o'clock and we have about 30 improvement videos in just this morning. We've just created this machine for making improvements. It's unbelievable. Every single person is improving every single day.
Wow.
We talk about the 3 E's, every person, every day engaged, and that's what we've got.
Yeah.
It is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the whole key is that we're building a culture of continuous improvement.
Mm-hmm.
It's not 3 or 4 people going around making all the improvements and coming up with all the ideas. Every single person in the organisation is empowered to make improvements. And they've got the freedom to just go ahead and fix things.
It's really incredible.
It's unbelievable.
And so let's just say on average 30 videos a day, 30 improvements a day. You're working 5 days a week, over a month, over a year, over 5 years.
Thousands of
You
improvements.
cannot imagine.
Yeah.
And what that does to your company culture must be great. And let's be real, what that must do to your bottom line is insane.
Yeah. It helps. It helps everything. It really does.
These guys are mic'd up. I'm gonna pull you guys in for a second, especially you, Rosca. And I'm prepared for this to go wrong. Okay, so see the first few days, especially that you and I were working together.
Yeah.
And I give you some sort of a criticism, like, "Oh no, you're not doing that right," or "You need to do it this way before." How did that make you feel?
I mean, seeing as the fact is that you knew most of the stuff anyway beforehand, before like I was just joining in. I knew nothing about like how to operate a podcast properly beforehand.
Yeah.
So I took any like improvements that you can give me and improved them upon myself, and I have definitely improved from it.
Big time.
And that's what I'm happy
Emotionally though,
about. Emotionally,
whenever I was like, like just that, how did that make you feel?
I mean, a little bit frustrated.
Right.
Like everyone gets frustrated sometimes.
Of course.
But at the same time, I knew for the fact that you're just doing it for the fact that you want to make you see something in me. That's why you took me into this
100%.
job.
You're
and I
nailing
know
the head
for
there.
a fact that you want to like put me up really high, like bring the best out of me.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, once again, I took it and used it to improve.
So focus on that frustration, okay?
Okay, focus.
Right? And then compare that to this week where, and my language has changed massively, right? Oh, let's fix the checklist. Let's fix the system. Does that make you feel less personally attacked?
I mean, didn't really think about it. I'd say like...
Because I would say I've noticed a real change in your posture. I've noticed you've felt a lot more empowered, where it's like, Matt's not criticizing me, Matt's criticizing the system, and it's more impersonal. Disagree with me, fight with me, I'm okay.
I didn't really put too much thought into it. I was just like, okay, this is just going to help us improve. That's good. Okay, what else can we add to the checklist to make it life a lot easier for us to do that? That's all that I saw. I didn't really see anything else from that.
You're a far better man than I. Because Ryan, when people criticize me, I take it very personally, and I get very emotional.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn to be a big boy, and that's part of business, and that's part of life.
Yeah.
I married a German woman, and that was a learning experience in and of itself. They're very direct, something that Northern Irish people are not. We like to beat around the bush. We like to sweep things under the rug. And I always found, even professionally, whenever someone was trying to help me do my job better, I'll work away, do whatever you need to do. I would feel attacked.
Yeah.
And whenever you shift into more of a system, you're not being personally attacked. And I think what you have created and what the whole lean culture is it's introducing a culture of critique, constructive critique, in a way that's not personal or emotional.
Exactly. We talk about attack the process, not the person.
Oh, mate, he's got a one-liner for it. I love it.
That's the we have introduced lean concepts and lean phrases, because when you can put something into a concept or into a phrase, it really translates that learning. It encourages people to take the learning on board. So we talk about that a lot. Attack the process, not the person. So something we've been really good at is the ability to take these really complicated lean philosophies and boil them down into simple terms, like what I've just said. Attack the person, not the process. Or attack the process, not the person. That's
amazing.
So, and it's one of the reasons we've been really successful at the implementation of lean.
Yeah.
Is that what you said earlier? It's not theoretical. It's not textbooks. It's not online training courses. This is practical, hands-on, simple lean, and it's really effective and it really works. But yeah, that's a brilliant one. Attack the process, not the person.
That is brilliant. So I understand where lean makes sense, where you're building hospital seats, right? And even the simple things you said, there's a designated place for the tools. Now, someone's not going to lose the tool that they need and spend 30 minutes walking around and trying to find it and getting frustrated and shouting at their manager because X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
How else, like in terms of like reducing defects, improving efficiency, even talk to me about like one-piece flow and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, there's kind of one philosophy that, because we do lean tours, there's companies come from all over the world to see our facility and get a lean tour of our factory and our office. And one of the things that I always say on the tours is that if you understand the difference in value and non-value, your life will change. And it's all you need to know about lean. We could boil lean into one simple terminology, is value and non-value. So the story goes that I was in Japan with Paul Akers, the author of the book. We went to visit Lexus and Toyota. And that evening we were going for a bite to eat, and we're walking through a shopping mall. We're going to a restaurant. And there was a barber shop in the shopping mall. And Paul Akers kind of grabbed me by the arm and says, Ryan, look under that window and tell me when the value is being added. When is the value being added? And I said, Paul, I'm not sure what you mean. I don't really understand the concept. And he says, this is all you need to know about lean, if you get what I'm about to tell you. And I said, okay, I'm listening. He says, value is only created when the product is changing. Value is only created when the product is changing. When the scissors are going through the customer's hair, that's value. Everything else, whether we like it or not, is non-value. So paying for the haircut is non-value. Queuing up for the haircut, non-value. Deciding which haircut you want, non-value. When the barber has to clean up all the hair at the end, non-value. All these non-value adding processes are surrounding the value. Because the value is only when the customer's hair is being actually cut with the scissors. Mm-hmm. So if we translate that thinking into my business, into your business, into your job, when are you adding value?
Yeah.
So if I'm in manufacturing, when the welder is actually welding the metal, that's value. When I'm looking for my tools or wondering what job to do next is non-value. Mm-hmm. If I'm in an office environment and I'm an accountant, When am I adding value? I'm adding value when I'm actually preparing the accounts for the directors.
Yes.
When I'm searching through emails or waiting on information from a client, that's all non-value. So it's deciding what's value, what's non-value. And the key to lean is to reduce the non-value.
Right.
It is not to speed up the value. And with this new awareness, you'll have enough improvements to keep you going for the rest of your life.
Wow. So let me feed back to you what I think I've heard and fill in the holes, or, criticize anywhere that you think needs a little bit of improvement. Okay. So what I'm hearing from you is the moment of value in my business is this moment right here.
Value.
Where I'm sitting down and I'm talking to the person.
Exactly. Yeah.
And in former times, let's look at my first 100 episodes, right? Actually, let's look at my first 30 episodes. The first 30 episodes, I was spending about 30 hours per episode. And it was carnage. And you talk about defects going out. You talk about things being wrong. You talk about software crashing. You talk about losing things. You talk about audio being distorted. The whole stress, prickly on the back of the neck. We've all been there. And what I quickly, intuitively started to do was, I got to make all this stuff easier, because it actually was interrupting my ability to be present in the moment. To do the value adding bit and the conversations. So even today, having these two guys sitting here, it means that I can be fully present with you and not worry, is the audio okay? Is the camera in the right place? Are the lights still on? And it helps me be more focused. So I'm trying to reduce the non-value so I can focus on the value.
Yeah, exactly.
Just jump in here for a second. Ryan, if you could just lift the mic a bit lower there.
There you go. Speaking of it.
Just
Speaking of the
Just lift it
improvements.
a little bit lower. Right now, covering your face a little bit, so you just lift it a little bit lower there.
How's that?
A little bit lower.
So you want him to bring it down, yeah?
Perfect, that's perfect, yeah.
Lovely. Just want to see your lovely face for the shorts.
Yeah.
Thank you, sorry for interrupting there.
So-
Perfect.
So-
That's an improvement.
It is.
I love it. Yeah.
Help me out then with your business.
Yeah.
What is the moment where value is being created or added?
Yeah. So value is when the product is changing.
The product is changing, yes.
Yeah. So when the fabric is actually being cut with the knife, when the welder is welding the actual metal together for the frame of the chair, is value. But when we're searching for tools, when we're ordering supplies, all these non-value added activities are surrounding the value.
Yeah.
So all we're trying to do is reduce the non-value. The non-value, a certain amount of it will still be there. It's impossible to reduce it altogether, but the goal is always to reduce it as much as we can.
Yeah.
So value is anything that any time the product is changing or anything the customer is willing to pay for. So is the customer willing to pay for the chair to be welded? Yes, definitely. They want it welded. They want it to be strong. Is the customer willing to pay for the chair to have a powder coated frame? Yes, they want to powder coat it. They don't want it to rust. Is the customer willing to pay for us to have to spend 5 hours ordering our materials, or to spend 3 days doing a stock take, or to all the non-value added activities? They don't care. They want a finished chair.
Yeah.
They want a really comfortable, well-made, good quality chair that they can sit in. They're not willing to pay for all these other processes. So if they're not willing to pay for it, why should we be willing to pay for it?
Yeah.
So the goal of lean is to reduce all the non-value out of the process as much as possible. So we've taken processes that were 45 minutes and gotten them to 3.
Yo.
We've taken accounting processes, it just took us 2.5 days to pay all the wages. We can do it in 3 hours. Like 2-second lean is a powerful tool to transform any organization, because it focuses everyone on all the small things, but every so often somebody comes across something that'll change the whole business. So we have 60 people improving every single day. 1 or 2 times a week somebody will say something that will be like, whoa, why did we not think of that 10 years ago? Because what we've created is a culture where every single person is thinking. You've heard it more times than enough that everybody says I'm paid from the neck down. At Seaton Matters, we're paid from the neck up. We're paid to think. We're paid to create. We're paid to problem solve. So lean started with Toyota, formerly known as the Toyota production system. But what we like to call it is the people thinking system. And that's really what lean is. It's a system where every single person in the organization is allowed and encouraged to think.
I remember reading a book one time. I think it was from I don't know, I'm going to say his name is maybe Rob Moore, and I read it really early on in my business journey, and I think it was called Money. And he had this phrase called it IGT, and if I can loosely pull that up from a photographic memory, I think it was like an income generating task.
Right.
And he said, you need to basically eliminate everything else in your business that's not directly linked to generating income.
Yeah.
And you've just put it in a much easier way for me to understand. And what I like about that is it focuses the whole organization on value.
Yeah.
It focuses the whole organization on reducing non-value.
Yeah.
And even then, I imagine, so that's on the big picture business level, but you dial that down to, you know, the woman that's working in the accountant department in your business. Mm-hmm. She's then making sure that her workday is focused as much on the value as possible.
Exactly.
And that is powerful.
And an even simpler way to put it again is waste is anything that gets in the way. Waste is anything that gets in the way. What gets in the way from setting up a really good podcast? Well, the lights, we didn't know how to switch them on. We didn't have the right password for the keypad for the door to get in. The desk wasn't clean when we can't find the Hoover. The cable for the whatever is missing. All these things are getting in the way. So all Lean is saying is that, hold on a minute, let's take 10, 15 minutes, half an hour every morning and make improvements.
Yeah.
So that the rest of the day flows.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, even still now, I was talking yesterday with Matthias here, Matty, and
he gives Roscoe's spiritual gift is giving me a different name every time he addresses me.
It's to create some fun times. That's the only reason. But still, we with the person we were even talking to yesterday, I got a book from him that it would help whenever it comes to business kind of things, called Go Giver. Mm-hmm. And whenever he was also talking to me about giving me the Lean book as well yesterday.
Oh yes, I'm giving this to Roscoe. I'm giving him two second Lean after this conversation. It's like, no, I want to have it for Ryan here. So yeah. Keep going.
And at first I was thinking it's probably going to be some extra stuff that I can use to help myself improve and stuff like that, to give myself more of a mindset whenever it comes to business kind of related actions. Yeah. But even still, just hearing what you're saying here, I'm getting really interested into reading this book now, because it's definitely...
Oh bro, I'm glad you're getting fired up. Because this is about to be a Lean operation.
I'm genuinely am. Like, I've never been more excited to read a book. So.
Mark, this here one's for you. I think you're going to really enjoy this, right? So talk to me about stream decks in your office.
Stream deck.
Right, because here's the thing. Lean makes sense to me on the manufacturing floor. When I try to think about Lean for a desk worker, I still have a lot of obstacles in the way. And go ahead, tell me more.
Yeah, so there's a really big Lean community all over the world, and I happen to be unfortunate to be in lots of groups, WhatsApp groups and Signal groups and different part of loads of groups that share information and share Lean improvements. Like, my phone's pinging all the time with new ideas from somebody from Canada. I come up with this, and somebody from America has come up with a way to streamline a process, and I'm getting all these ideas. But about 2 years ago, this message came up on a WhatsApp group, and this guy was using this thing called a Stream Deck, and I was like, what is this? This looks really interesting. I'm going to look more into this. And I called the guy and I said, this Stream Deck thing, what can you explain it to me? And he said, it's the best thing we've ever done in the office. It's going to transform your entire office. And I said, right, I have to get one. And basically a Stream Deck is a small device that sits on the desk right beside your computer with a series of buttons on it, and you can set those buttons up through any task that you want. So it basically follows the mouse movements of your computer, and you pre-program to hit a button. So for example, it used to take us 20 minutes at the end of the day to do all our invoicing for our customers. So we'd manufacture 20, 25, 30 chairs, whatever the production rate was that day. At the end of the day, we'd sit for 20 minutes and invoice all the customers. Now with one click of a button, we're invoicing every single customer in about 3 seconds.
Come on, Mark.
It's the most unbelievable thing ever. And when we do the tours, like, most people's key takeaway is the Stream Deck. We must, I would say, shares in Stream Deck are up since we started.
Yeah, you should make a major investment.
Yeah. So we've basically programmed any repeatable task into a one-click button. So every factory has a recycling skip which needs emptied every month, every 2 weeks, whatever. We used to call up the recycling company. Can you come in or empty the skip? Yes. Somebody will ring you back and organise the time. Another phone call. Then we'd ring back again. Then we'd send them a purchase order. Then we'd enter it onto our system. When the invoice come in, we'd have to match that up. Now what we do is we walk over, we hit the icon, and the next thing, the lorry drives in the next day and empties the skip.
Oh my!
That's the most unbelievable thing ever. But that thinking came from: is it value or non-value when we're emptying the skip?
Yeah.
Is it value or non-value when we're invoicing the customers? It's all non-value. The customer doesn't want to pay for that. So how can we make it as efficient as possible?
Yeah, I love that. Like I first kind of learned about the stream decks from doing like live stream events and stuff like that, where we used them for like, basically we used it as one of those for switching camera angles, stuff like that. And then I ended up just buying myself one. So I work from home, run my own.
Oh, mate, do you have one?
Yeah, so I run my own.
He's a believer. He's a true believer. I love it.
Now, I wouldn't have had the words for it, the way you're describing it, for the kind of lean philosophy. But for me, it was a case of I was using these for live stream events, things like that, and I realized, oh, hang on, I can program these myself, and it's fairly easy to do.
Tell me about some of your buttons, or at least one of your buttons.
Nothing as complicated as that, right? But even just wee basic things. So when I'm running my business, there's certain things that I'm sending to every client. Things like, basic things like, "Hi, thanks for getting in touch" is a sentence I type 2 or 3 times a day. That's on a single button.
Brilliant,
There's a list of those in kind of a folder on Stream Deck. There's common applications, websites and stuff I use for lunch, and again, nothing massive, but I'm saving 3-4 seconds here or there multiple times per day. And I've just found, even just psychologically, it just feels really good when I'm able to kind of optimize those wee things and just take wee bits of friction out of my workflow.
So if I then, hypothetically, if we buy a Stream Deck, right, for Roska, and at the end of the interviews, Roska goes, a Stream Deck's attached to his laptop, he presses a button, could it open up every single application that he needs to work, to do the editing, open up every single tab at the exact web address that he needs to be at with one push of a button?
Yeah, it can.
Oh, come on.
That's
we're buying a Stream Deck.
No, not even just that. Like, even still thinking I think I might even buy one personally for myself, because once again, I want to get some more recording and stuff like that, because making YouTube videos.
I just pictured your house. You go in and like there's just Stream Decks everywhere, and you push it and it starts making you coffee.
But even still, like that just sounds really interesting, and I'm getting something else on my wee to-do list to get for a setup at home.
We've really started to lean into Zapier. Zapier is probably a software equivalent of Stream Deck. Do you use Zapier?
No, we don't. No.
Oh, Ryan, I hope that you fall in love with Zapier. So Zapier is like an automation tool where you can basically create these things called zaps, and it's ways to make different pieces of software talk to each other.
Right.
So for example, like this process today, right? We'll let you in, Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. So I send you a Calendly link to book in.
Yeah.
So you book in on a Calendly link. That then sends a questionnaire. The questionnaire, you then fill out your bio and your photo and, something most people don't know about you. That will go into Roska's software straight away, automatically.
Unreal.
And it will create a research document like this that we print with all of the information that I need for the interview on it and a whole bunch of other stuff. But there's like 4 or 5 different apps there. Google's talking to this, and this is talking to Notion, and Notion's talking to this, and all those bridges they call them zaps, and that's Zapier.
Gonna look into that.
Yeah, so you may enjoy that.
Yeah.
Talk to me about One Piece Flow.
One Piece Flow, yeah. One Piece Flow is one of the most powerful things that transformed our factory. It really did. And not even the factory, our whole entire organisation. So in really simple terms, people love making stuff in batches.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it's just inherent in every one of us to make stuff in batches. If you go to a party, you'll see someone making sandwiches, and they're buttering all the bread, and then they'll put all the ham on, then they'll put all the cheese on, then they'll fold them all over, then they'll cut them all, and they'll present a batch of sandwiches to the guests. So what one piece flow is about making one and deliver it, make another one and deliver it. And it took us a long time to get our head around this, because I couldn't get I couldn't understand it. I thought, when you're making a certain type of chair, let's just make 10 or 20 of them.
Or when your guys doing the welding, just get a whole bunch of people to do all the welding.
Just do all the welding, weld it all to one time. But obviously it has to be quicker, but it's really not. And I was at a lean summit. Every year there's a lean summit where all the 2-second lean companies come together, and we're actually hosting it this year in September. But we can talk about that in a minute. But we were at the lean summit 3 years ago in Germany, and this guy was down at the back of the room. This guy called Mark Braun, and he was doing this simulation with dices. Like he had like a handful of dices, and I was like, "What's going on down there?" Because I'm always curious, always looking out for new ways to describe concepts. Or to understand lean at a deeper level. And I said to Mark, "What's going on? Can I sit in and see what you're doing?" He says, "Yep, no problem, take a seat." And I sat down, and what Mark Braun showed me there changed our entire factory. We came back from that trip and ripped the whole place apart and put it together again in a different way. It was this one piece flow versus batch mentality.
Okay.
So we were welding 20 chairs. We'd weld all the base frames, okay? Then we'd weld all the seat frames on a Tuesday. On a Wednesday, we might weld all the backs. On a Thursday, we might assemble all the upholstery. And on a Friday, we'd have, for example, 50 chairs finished. So no chairs on a Monday, some chairs on a Tuesday, maybe a few more on a Wednesday, but Fridays were crazy. They were hectic. And nobody wanted to come to work on a Friday at Sight Matters. People would take Fridays off. It was just so hectic, because it was batch mentality. We thought batch is better. But once we reorganized the entire factory to one piece flow, it just transformed everything. So we make one chair, pass it to the next person, they upholster it, they pass it on, it gets sewed, they pass it on, it gets checked, they pass it on, it gets invoiced. So every 22 minutes we're now making a chair.
Whoa.
And it's like clockwork. Every 22 minutes, it's unbelievable. You're welcome to come down for a tour and see the factory.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
It's just, it's unbelievable. So batch was taking us a full week to get finished product at the end of the week. One piece flow means we're making one every 22 minutes.
And that, I assume, now this is an assumption, reduces the amount of defects and stuff going wrong, right?
Exactly.
Okay, that's what I like to hear.
That does. Because when you're making one and there's a defect, you can quickly correct it before the second or third one's made. When we make in batches and we find out, we've made 50 and they're all wrong, we have to rework them all. So by building quality into the process, it's much easier with one piece flow.
Wow.
It's the opposite of what, and this is why lean is so exciting for me. It's the opposite of what I thought for years. I thought it's better to manufacture in batches. I thought management and leadership had to have all the answers. I thought all these misconceptions that I had were all taken away by lean and just turned on its head.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of what you would think.
It's fascinating. And again, I can personally relate to this. When I started off, I was doing maybe 3 podcasts in a day.
Yeah.
And there were some weeks, I'm even ashamed to admit this, I would do something like 15 podcasts. You know, and I would book everybody in, and blah, 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 and I'm just in the moment. And at the end of the week, you're absolutely done. That weekend, you're good for nothing. Your family gets nothing from you. And then the worst part, you'll know this, Mark, then you have to flip and edit them all.
Right.
And you're like, flip me. And see, whenever we switched to, even if it was just myself doing audio only and editing the audios, I would do the interviews, and then immediately, as soon as the guest would leave, I would edit it because it was fresh in my head. I knew the bits that were really, really good. I knew that if someone said something that needed to be removed, you know, I could remove that in the moment. But see, going back to something and edit like 3 weeks later, you're just starting from scratch. You have to listen to the whole thing all the way through, and it actually ended up being the most inefficient part of my business for probably about 2 years. So what we're trying to do now is so we were audio only for 300 episodes, and then we kind of just had a bit of an entrepreneurial seizure where we're like, no, let's just get in the video, let's just do it. And we've been kind of flying around fast and loose, and this is the tidiest the studio has been because you were coming and you were leaning. I was like, look, I want to make sure this place looks half decent. Should have seen it. Like, Mark, what was it even like on Monday when you came?
No comment.
There's practically spider webs of wires just hanging
You'd be
everywhere.
surprised how little places I get invited to.
And so what we're doing now, particularly now, you know, that the team's being built, is like our goal, like our big goal for the end of today is everything to do with your episode is going to be finished by 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And that's me trying to, after reading this book and being introduced to you, that's me trying to bring a one-piece flow mentality to a podcast production environment.
That's unbelievable. And I can relate to that with my YouTube videos. I've got a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So I can shoot all the footage on my iPhone, edit it straight away, and have it on YouTube like in 6 hours.
Class.
Whereas before you would take all the footage the week after. You'd maybe take the footage for maybe 10 videos, sit down the next week and edit them. Same thing. It's a month before you've got a finished video.
Yeah.
Whereas now with one piece flow. And you're more focused as well, because I found when I was videoing for 5, 6 different types of video, you're kind of getting confused.
Mm-hmm.
But now when you're just focusing on one message and one theme, and editing one message, one theme, and getting it on YouTube, it's more, you're more focused, and the quality is actually better.
Absolutely. I'm a real big believer in deep work. So, you know, my kind of like, I'm an unlikely entrepreneur in some sense, because I'm more of like, started off as more of that artist mentality, where it's like, I just like to be by myself and work on something and get it really, really perfect and meticulous. So, you know, a lot of my deep work kind of sessions would be writing. So I've written a couple of books. I'm submitting a novel next month that I hope to publish pretty soon, and that's taken me 3 years. I'm really excited about that.
Brilliant.
And that's been all about just blocking time off to focus. So I had this one half of my life that was very, very, very mono-focus orientated. But then the business side of my life was just multitasking, frenetic, all over the place, doing 6 things at once, doing this bit for podcast A and doing this bit for podcast B and da. And I've just found, even from a personal level, it's so much more rewarding to focus on that one thing, get it done, and then move on to the next. Yeah. And see, even something simple, like I'm thinking about us yesterday, editing Paul's episode. How nice is it just to be like, the only thing we're doing right now is Paul's episode?
That's what I mean, because even still, in the past, the whole editing process was so much more longer. Like, I've seen so much improvement over the past 4 months or so.
Absolutely.
From when I joined and everything. And, like, the feeling of getting it done. Like, some days we'd have to reserve days entirely just to get some of the shorts and editing done. Mm-hmm. But just there yesterday, we got the shorts done and the podcast all uploaded and everything ready.
So I'm saying, and the guest came in at 10 o'clock in the morning.
I know.
Unbelievable.
Like, the best feeling ever is to be able to leave work one day knowing you've got everything done for that day, and then you don't have to worry about anything until the next day, and it's the best feeling ever.
That's you absolutely hit the nail on the head. It's that personal satisfaction. I think it's so it's hard to oversell that, where you can go home and you can kiss your wee girl on the head and be like, I'm home. You know what I mean? I don't need to think about this. Don't need to store things in my RAM. It's like I can delete my RAM every day, and that's powerful. Something that that blows me away about you. Now, I don't know if this is true or if this is just nonsense. Is it true that you only use WhatsApp?
Yes, that is.
So does that mean that you don't use email?
It does. I'm a very unconventional business person, not a typical person, not a typical leader. I kind of do things my way. I don't have an office. I don't have a computer. I don't have a laptop. I just have my phone, which is with me here. Don't do email. And it really comes down to focus on what you're good at. I'm not an expert on computers. I don't want to be. I know nothing about it. But we have an office full of people that are geniuses at software, at accounting, at even if I need something printed out, I just walk over to someone and say, could you print this out? Or if I need an email typed, can you type this email? And I walk away. And the freedom that gives me to focus on what I'm good at is unbelievable. Because I kind of realised just after discovering Lean and finding out about this type of thinking that I need to focus on what I like doing and get rid of all the non-value added activities that I don't get empowered by. Yeah. And that resulted in not having an office, not having a computer, not doing emails. I just don't do it. Most business owners with a company the size of our business, sits in an office all day in a big
Yeah.
fancy mahogany desk and a leather armchair.
Gets about
and
500 emails a day.
all these emails, and they're doing Zoom calls and they're doing all these meetings, but are they actually adding value to the customer? Maybe not as much as they think.
Yeah.
What I would rather be doing is on the shop floor working with our people, on the what we call the Gemba, on the Gemba, working with our people, empowering them, coaching them, helping them, and being really present for them. When I'm in an office at a computer doing emails, I'm not present with our team. I'm not working with the people. So that's one of the reasons, is to be fully present and to really focus on where my strength is. My strength isn't sitting behind a desk at a computer.
That is
So I don't do it.
That is
extremely unconventional and an extreme challenge to
You
business
see,
leaders.
No, but even still, I love the way he's done it there, because not only is it sweet and simple, like it's just an easy way to go. Not only does it also encourage teamwork as well, showing faith that you're having your clients, but it's just the fact is, I just love it.
Yeah. And so, like, you know, we all make decisions along our journey, and in hindsight, you kind of see what was a mistake, what wasn't a mistake.
Yeah.
When I started Best Belfast, started as an Instagram page, and we really blew up on Instagram. So this was maybe like 5 years ago, and 5 years ago, I think the Instagram page had maybe like 20,000 followers. Now that's old money. So, like, you know, in today's, I don't know what you would convert that to by today's standards, but maybe for argument's sake, let's just say 100,000 followers, right?
Yeah.
And we had Twitter and Facebook and all this sort of stuff, and it was just me. And I just got married, and we were financially struggling, and I was trying to build a business, and I was trying to study, and I was trying to write a book, and I was trying to do this and trying to do this, and it was too many plates, and I just broke. And my response to the breaking was to delete social media entirely. And that is a decision that I was so grateful that I did, and I needed to do it.
Yeah.
But now I'm at a place in my business now where we're starting all over again on social media.
Yeah.
Because at that time, I didn't think that I could get somebody else to do things for me. I didn't have an outsource or a collaborative attitude. My attitude was, I have to do everything all by myself. But one of the reasons why I deleted it was because I was so sick of having 20 different places to check every single day.
Yeah.
And even now, as much as I've simplified my own life, I have Slack, I have WhatsApp, I have Signal, I have email, I've got multiple email accounts, I've got, you know, a normal phone where I get normal texts and calls.
Yeah.
And you're like, when I heard that you only use WhatsApp, there was something inside of me that just went, that is the ticket. Because on WhatsApp, you can take video calls, you can take voice calls, you can send voice messages, you can send pictures, you can send files.
Yeah.
It's international and it's worldwide.
It is. Yeah.
It's a good move, but it's a bold move.
It's simple, and that's my whole thing is simplicity. One of my favorite books is Insanely Simple, the obsession that drives Apple's success. And two of my favorite books. The first one is obviously 2 Second Lean, but the second is Insanely Simple, and the two go hand in hand, because people just want to complicate everything. People think more is better.
Yeah.
We need a bigger product range, more services, more this, more that, more people, bigger office, bigger factory. In fact, when you strip it down, less is actually better. And that's when I came across Lean. It turned, as I said before, it turned all this conventional thinking on its head, because we were about to extend our factory. We were about to make our factory twice the size. We had plans in place to extend the factory. Since coming across Lean, we actually realised with so much space, we could rent some of it out. So more isn't always better.
Yeah.
And I think that's where that simplicity thinking comes in. Who says that a business owner has to have a computer and a fancy office? Who says we have to have 30 apps on our phone? Who we can make up our own rules.
Yeah.
You know.
And this is why my feeling towards Lean is it feels less corporate-y and businessy and more philosophical, and maybe you'll hate this terminology, spiritual.
Yeah.
And I say that because the words that have just come out of your mouth, the Dalai Lama could have just said that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? A monk sitting in the monastery in Ross Trevor could have said that. This idea about simplicity. It's not about the pursuit of more, it's about the pursuit of less. It's about blah, 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 blah. And I think that it's amazing to see that this system is not just for a business environment. You know, it can affect your entire life, as it has for you.
That's why it excites me, to be honest. I didn't think we would get this deep in the podcast. Lean for me started off as a manufacturing thing, a way to physically organise the factory. But once I delved more into it, I realised, hold on a minute, this is actually a way of life.
Yeah.
This is a way of thinking. And the Japanese, it came from the Japanese culture. That it's no surprise that the Japanese are the best manufacturers in the world. And it's no surprise that it goes so hand in hand with how their culture operates. It's not a coincidence at all. Their culture, the culture of their country has translated into the culture in their factories and in their manufacturing. So lean is a philosophy. Lean is a way of thinking. It's a way of life.
Yeah,
it definitely is.
We've talked a lot about the business side. How has it changed your life personally?
Yeah. When I discovered lean 8 years ago, it was only a few months after my father died. He passed away at age 52. And when he passed away, I was 26. I was half his age. And I never thought that at 26 you're halfway there. Nobody does. And it really kind of hit me. I thought this is a bit overwhelming. You never think at 26 you're halfway there. And I said, for me to get the most out of life, something has to change. Because we grew up with this mentality that work was so important. Work was the only thing. You work. Our father was in construction. He worked from 6 in the morning to 10 at night, 6 days a week. We would have, myself, my brothers would have worked with him when we were younger growing up. So we were programmed to work. That was in our thinking. And then when my father passed at 52 years old, I realised that, hold on a minute, there has to be more to life than work. And there has to be another way. And thankfully I came across lean around the same time. And I thought, this is maybe the tool to break that cycle of work.
Yeah.
And it really did change me as a person. It broke that fixed mindset that work is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And actually, when you think about it, it's family, it's relationships, it's balance is the most important, not work.
Yeah.
But it took me a long time to get my head around that, and thankfully lean and this whole change all came around the same time after my father passed. So it was real big, like a light bulb moment for me.
It's great. Thank you for sharing that. It's powerful. Have you ever read Essentialism?
No, I haven't, but I've heard of it.
I think you'd enjoy it.
Yeah.
But he shares a story in that from George Orwell, wrote a book called Animal Farm.
Yeah.
And there's a horse in that book called, I'm going to get it mixed up with that brunch place in Hollywood. I'm thinking of Joxer. It definitely can't be Joxer because that's where you get chicken and waffles.
It wasn't Boxer.
I think it might have been Boxer, yeah. And Boxer's mentality, so all the animals represent like a different aspect of society, and the pigs are the capitalists and blah 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 blah. And Boxer was this workhorse, and all he did was work, and all he knew how to do was work.
Yeah.
And whenever they were facing disaster and tyranny on the farm as animals, his solution was, we just have to work harder. That was his phrase, I think. I must work harder. And he worked harder and harder and harder and harder and harder, and then he dropped dead.
Yeah.
And I just think, I'm a big fan of Orwell, and I think there is that in humanity.
Yeah.
There is that even in our culture in Northern Ireland, where it's just like the solution is more effort and more work.
Yeah.
And that's not always the case.
That's exactly right, yeah.
Wow. Man, this is awesome. I feel like we could go all day. Is there any area of your life that is intentionally incredibly inefficient and unproductive?
Probably having 3 kids, a 6-year-old, 4-year-old, and a 1.5-year-old.
Depends how you define productivity.
It's really hard to systemize that.
Yeah,
I haven't figured out a way yet.
Yeah.
But I think people always ask me all the time, what's your house like? What's your home like? Is it really efficient? Is it really organized? And is everything labeled? It's okay. It's good. But is it at the level of the factory? No, nowhere near it. And I don't think it needs to be. There's no paying customer. Yeah. You know, they're demanding a product at a certain time. At home, I'm the customer, and my wife is the customer. And what does the customer want? The customer wants to relax. The customer wants to go home and switch off from work and watch TV with the kids and colour in with my daughter. And so value is different at home than work.
So true.
So is home inefficient? It probably is inefficient, but it's okay.
But I think you hit the nail on the head. It's because the value orientation is different.
Yeah.
You know, sitting and dipping your hand in blue paint and splattering it on the page.
Yeah.
That's where the product is being transformed. That's where the product is changing.
Yeah.
That's where you're changing. That's where you're building relationships with your daughter or your son.
Yeah.
Wow.
But on that as well, on that same theme, we've been doing lean for 8 years, every single day with every person, and still 90% of everything we do is waste. So companies come on tours all the time to see our facility, and they say, how do you keep thinking of improvements? Surely it can't get any better. And I'm thinking, you should go to Japan and see how the Japanese are operating, because we're really only scratching the surface. So for a company that hasn't even heard of lean or isn't practicing lean, the opportunity to transform and improve their business is just it's unending.
It's great. I think this is a really good time to talk about 3 things. The tour, as you've already mentioned. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. If you would like to go and book a tour for you, your organization, your staff, your team, go to Ryan's website and book the tour. It's very, very, very reasonable. I think you're probably just charging people to make sure that they show up, really, as opposed to any other reason. Yeah. And then talk to me about the conference and the book.
Yeah, the conference, the 2-second Lean Summit is a conference that is held every year. And it's Paul Akers' event, the author of the book 2-Second Lean. And Paul selects a different company each year to host the event. We were fortunate to be selected by Paul. I've been in touch with Paul a couple of times a week. I'm very close to him. And he selected us to host the event. And this is a huge event. Like we're taking over the entire Roe Park Hotel in Limavady. We're booking out the whole place for 2 or 3 days. We've people already. It's booked out. It booked up in the first 4 days. We're having meetings next week to see if we can extend it to make it a bigger event.
Okay, good, because I just wrote down here, should we go to that summit? Ross goes in.
So there's hundreds of people coming from all over the world, from Argentina, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, America, Norway. They're coming from all over. These are lean fanatics that are practicing 2-second lean, that want to take it to the next level. And
I love this because, I believe Northern Ireland is a centre of excellence. Yeah. I believe in this small, strange little country.
It is.
And I love to see that you're bringing people from all over the world to Limavady. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that is so gangster. Yeah. Incredible.
Because when we started our lean journey, I went to Japan, I went to America to visit Paul's factory, I went to Germany, travelled all over the world to try and figure out this lean thing. What's this lean thing about? There's something here that we need to understand at a deeper level. But to think now that the Japanese are coming to see us. Wow. And I was actually putting a LinkedIn post there out 2 weeks ago to announce the summit. And as soon when I was typing the LinkedIn post, I got a message from the former vice president of Lexus to say that I want to come to your event. I've heard about the event and I want to come. Like, Lexus are the top of the top. When you think lean, you think Lexus, you think Toyota. These guys are at the top of their game. And for the former vice president of Lexus to be coming to Limavady to visit our company, it's just unbelievable. It really is.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but more power to you. I think that's an amazing moment of recognition for you and for your company. So yeah, congratulations. It's good.
Thank you.
Did you ever think you'd write a book?
I didn't think I would, but the more I got into lean and realised that most of the information out there is very theoretical. Yeah. It's complicated, it's boring, to be honest. I read a few books before coming across 2-second lean, and there was no excitement, there was no engagement. I kind of tried it for a while and stopped it again. But until I found out that lean can actually be really simple, and that most people complicate it, and a lot of the time it's complicated by consultants, so they can justify why would you pay tens of thousands for somebody to come in if you can do it yourself. So basically, we have been successful at the implementation of lean because we've kept it really simple. And we've broke it down into really simple concepts like attack the process, not the person. Like fix what bugs you.
Value is only created when the product is changing.
Yeah.
Waste is anything that gets in the way. These are my notes from today.
Yeah. Another brilliant one is wherever you ask the question, that's where the answer should be. So you're walking up to your laptop. What is my password? There's the password. Where is the cable for the mic? There's the cable. Where is the light? There's the light switch. Where is my calculator? Wherever you're asking the question, where is my drill? I need to drill a hole. The drill's right here.
I could not relate to that even more than now, because whenever I need to, like if I have some questions whenever it comes to editing and all that, I'll go to Matty T here about it. And
you're going to have to start getting really creative once you get in like 60 names deep.
But yeah, Big Thompson here. Whenever I was, if I had a question, he'd always say, search it up. Or he'd give some kind of hint, but not tell me the answer entirely, because he wants me to find it for myself. And in the end, I'd find the answer. He'd even say, just check Notion, something like that. He wants me to find the answers. And even still, I cannot relate to that more than ever, because the fact is that the answer's always right there. It depends whether or not you're looking in the right place.
Yeah, I mean, tattooed on my forehead, even the last couple of weeks, has just been... look at the checklist.
Exactly.
So wherever you ask a question, that's where the answer should be. It's such a simple concept.
Yeah.
But that one concept could keep you improving for the next 100 years. And to tie into that is every question we ask is an opportunity to improve. So the fact that you have to ask that question means that there's an opportunity to improve it. So it's all these simple concepts that have really amplified and encouraged us to develop a lean culture in Limavady in Northern Ireland. So my passion now is getting this message out to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And saying that actually lean isn't complicated. It doesn't have to be this theoretical thing, and you don't have to have a master's in business to be able to do it. Every single person can do it, and you can do it right now. You can start today.
Yeah.
So the book is called Lean Made Simple.
Great.
And it's about how we've taken lean and simplified it, basically. And the book will be out in December this year, and I'm really, really excited to get the message out there.
Man, that was great, Rosca. Push your Stream Deck button to pre-order that, would you?
I'll do that right away. That's on the checklist.
Ryan, just one or two questions, kind of just to land the plane. These are questions we ask everybody. If you could take anyone from Northern Ireland out for a cup of coffee, who would you take? Where would you take them and why? And they can be dead or alive.
From Northern Ireland? Yep. Great question. It kind of leads me to something else, and as soon as I have an idea or an inspired thought, I actually do take action on it. So if I had an idea to take someone out for coffee, I would probably have approached them already. You know what I mean? So it actually takes me back to a story about 14 years ago when we started the business, myself and my two brothers. We didn't really know what we were doing, setting up a factory, trying to go out and sell a product. And we asked the same question: if we could take anybody from this island, north or south, out for a coffee and ask them some information, who would we take out? And we said, well, who knows a lot about business? And at that time, Sean Quinn was the richest man in Ireland.
That's right, yeah. And
we said, why not ask the richest man in Ireland? He's bound to know a bit about business. So that's exactly what we did. We sent him a letter that same day. His secretary replied to us 3 days later. And on the fourth day, we were in the car on the way to meet Sean Quinn.
Yo.
It was supposed to be a half an hour meeting, just a cup of tea, cup of coffee, whatever, have a chat, tell him we're starting this business, can you give us any pointers? We spent half a day with him. half a day with the richest man in Ireland, and the wisdom and the knowledge that he gave us was just. We still revert back to a lot of the things that he told us during that meeting, and we met him several times since.
Wow.
So probably the answer to your question is if there was somebody I would like to meet and take for a coffee, I've already done it.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's kind of the way I think. If I have inspired action or inspired thought, I take action right away. If I did want to take someone out for coffee, I would act on it straight away, and I would do it. Not sure if that answers your question, but
it's a great answer, and that's all we're looking for.
And following on from that is another really good concept that might be worth sharing.
Yeah,
just when I'm in the flow here.
Do it.
Is that something that I learned? I kind of done it without thinking, but if there's a specific area or a subject that you're really passionate about, is go to the source of information. Go to the source of information. If you want to find out about business, who's the best person to ask? Probably the richest, most successful business person in the country is a good place to start. If I want to be an expert at lean manufacturing, who is the best person to go and speak to? Paul Akers. I contacted Paul Akers as soon as I came across him on YouTube. I flew to his home, spent time with him, went to his factory. 3 months later, I was in Japan with Paul Akers.
Amazing.
When we started the business 14 years ago, it was around the time The Secret, if you've heard of The Secret. The Secret was coming out. So anybody else would just watch The Secret and think that's brilliant. We watched The Secret and thought, we need to go and meet Bob Proctor, the star of The Secret. We sent Bob an email. Turns out he was doing a cruise, a week-long cruise of seminars. We went on the cruise, sat in the front seat, ended up talking to Bob himself. And Bob invited us back, myself and my two brothers, back to his home in Toronto. We spent a full weekend with Bob Proctor.
Ryan, you're mad.
But it's about going to the source of the information. Find who is the expert in this field and go and actually sit down across the table from them. About a year and a half ago, we decided the business is going good, but we've got more potential. There's more people that need our product. We have an unbelievable product. We're manufacturing here in Northern Ireland, but able to send it all over the world. So let's scale. Let's sit down and seriously talk about scaling the business. Who is the best person for scaling a business? Who's the professional? We figured out a guy called Brendan McGurgan. So we met Brendan McGurgan.
That name's on my list of interviews. What does Brendan do?
Brendan and Claire Colvin have set up a company called Simple Scaling.
Wow.
And it's an unbelievable company. And we've done a 1 year course with Brendan and Claire. And it's really helped to take our business to the next level. So they're experts in scaling businesses. So again, go to the source of information. Who knows the most about scaling? Brendan McGurgan. So whether it's Bob Proctor, Sean Quinn, Brendan McGurgan, Paul Akers, going to the source of the information, I think, is key to fast track whatever area you're in.
Yeah, gold, absolute gold. Ryan, final question. You want to do it?
I'll do it, yeah. So, Ryan, so if you could go back in time to a version of your 18-year-old self, or if you were speaking in front of a crowd of young people wanting to start something up, have some ideas, want to improve themselves even further, what would you say to them?
Yeah, it's a great question. So if I was 18 again?
Yes.
Yeah.
18.
Mm-hmm. What I would say is to take action. Most people do too much talking, too much research, too much looking into stuff. What I would say to an audience, if I was 18 again, speaking to a group of young people wanting to start something, is just start. Start somewhere. Take action, massive action. Winston Churchill, one of his famous quotes is "Action this day," and it's something we talk about a lot in our companies. Action this day. Just take action. Just start something.
Yeah.
Start somewhere. You know, you can't see the full staircase, but take the first step. And when you take the first step, you'll see the next step. So that would be my main message to someone: is just start somewhere. Do something today.
It's great.
That gets you closer to your goal. and do less planning and less less talking about it and get on with it. Yeah.
So good. I ran out of paper in my house. I'm like right like a maniac. Like always in the morning, wee bit of personal journal, bit of personal prayer, reflection, all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran out of a book, and I didn't have any more books, so I went into my wee box and I'd found a few old daily planners that I never used, and I just started writing in them. And the quote at the top of the page today was from, I'm going to say General somebody Patton. He must be a US military guy. And the quote said, "Better to violently execute a plan today than to try to perfectly plan it tomorrow."
Whoa.
And I was just like,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
And my big reflection from this week, and even in this conversation with you, is I've always kind of, on this action point, I have been a guy that's just like move fast and break things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've taken on that entrepreneurial tech mentality where it's like, action is the key, just do it.
Yeah.
What I love about what I've heard from you today, and 2-second lean and your whole lean made simple approach, is also take time to go slow and build things.
Yeah.
Or maybe I should even edit that to say, go slow and improve things.
Yeah.
Because that stress cycle you talked about at the start of the episode, I think 90% of everyone listening to this knows what that feels like.
Yeah.
And to have an opportunity to step out from that and pursue an alternative, I think that's a part of me life changing. So Ryan, thank you so much for today. I really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. That's a wrap.